Greetings, Andover. I'm coming to you from the Cubby in my home office. As you know, our weekly video messages are intended to share the love for Andover and connect the Andover community in inspiring ways. Let's get to our highlights of our non-sibi efforts for this week. Alina, class of 22, started a nonprofit, Mariposa Masks, to make washable masks for homeless populations in Massachusetts and Connecticut. And she was kind enough to send 200 masks to campus for our essential staff, faculty, and their children. Very nice of you, Alina. Andy, class of 22, and Ethan, class of 21, are putting their knowledge and goodness to work while tutoring for a cause. Proceeds raised from their tutoring sessions will help purchase groceries and other essential items for local families in need. Thank you. West Coast sisters Hannah, from the class of 22, and Isabel from the class of 23 have made a modification to mask design that helps the hearing impaired. Read My Lips masks are designed with a clear covering over the mouth. So far, a pair of sisters has produced over 1,000 washable masks through their nonprofit startup. Way to go, Hannah, Isabel, Andy, Ethan, and Alina. May is actually Spread the Love Month, in case you didn't know, and the community engagement team is leading the way on Instagram. This week's theme is Love for Andover, perfect for the Cubby. Thank you to Monique Cueto-Potts and her team for reminding us that kindness prevails, especially during these challenging times. Dr. Jerry Hagler from biology continues to document all the glorious signs of spring on campus, the beautiful cherry blossoms and the popular fuzzballs on Pine Knoll. Dr. Hagler's Instagram features the Canadian geese and the chicks near the rabbit pond, that is geese near the rabbit pond. And they're taking over the Pine Knoll, and I've seen them out there and heard them quite often. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Hagler. It's actually exciting to see and promising to see all those signs of spring. On a playful note, Gunga's game of Ding Dong Ditch turned some heads last week. His antics across campus were documented on social media, and I should add, reported to public safety for immediate review. Although I admit it was fun to get ditched myself and to see the perplexed faces of Kate Dolan, Jenny Elliott, Linda Carter-Griffith, Susan Estey, and Pete Dignard, especially Pete Dignard, who is not surprised too often by anything. I will wrap up with a series of congratulations first to the newly elected cluster co-presidents. We can't wait to see you back on campus. Quinton and Niara from Abbott, Phoebe and Ty from Flagstaff, Miles and Bianca from West Quad North, Tulio and Lohi from West Quad South, Gwen and Ben from Pine Knoll. And we close this segment with students from the class of 2021 who won gold in the Fishoff National Chamber Music Competition. Congratulations to Ariel on piano, Luke on violin, and Evan on cello. The Phillips Trio stood out among 130 chamber groups from 30 different countries. Due to the pandemic, each group submitted videos online which were reviewed by a panel of professional musicians. I say bravo to our students, not only for their winning performance, but for adapting so readily to the virtual stage. Before we welcome this week's guests, let's please enjoy a performance by the Phillips Trio. Here's Ariel, Luke, and Evan. Please enjoy. Hello, everyone. This week, I am delighted to welcome 4 beacons of light and leadership at Andover. Our conversation will center around student life and learning during these extraordinary times. I'm pleased to welcome Sean Logan, Dean of College Counseling, Clyfe Beckwith, Assistant Head for Teaching and Learning, Linda Carter Griffith, Associate Head for Equity, Inclusion, and Wellness, and of course, Jenny Elliott, Assistant Head for Residential Life and Dean of Students. Let's start with you, Clyfe, and thank you all for joining us, by the way. Clyfe, flexibility, creativity, perseverance, these qualities come to mind when I think of the extraordinary ways we've asked faculty and students to step up this term. When you flip the switch on a curriculum with little time to prepare, inevitably, there will be challenges. What have you been guided by in the principles throughout this challenging time?
Thanks, Jim. Well, the principles sort of evolve, but we have settled in on safety and wellness. If anything, that's the one thing that we have to focus on and allow ourselves to focus on so that we can take care of family and health. So safety and wellness is first, and then equity. Equity is so important because we just don't know the circumstances that anyone is going through as we go through this really difficult time. And then the last one is ongoing learning. We're all new to this, so there's a tremendous amount that we're learning as we are rolling out this program, and constantly learning, looking for feedback.
Excellent. Thank you, Clyfe. It's true. It's not just time zones in the diversity of our student body. It's different circumstances, different hardships and challenges. So I appreciate your reflection. Let's turn to you, Sean, and describe a little bit how college counseling has been working with students and families during this time.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. I really appreciate having some time to spend with everybody. It's great to see everybody on the panel. It's been interesting. Just like Clyfe has said, much like our different departments, we have a curriculum that we've worked our students through, and we've had to adjust and adapt as well as we really think a lot about the virtual world and how that plays forward. Coming right out of the break, we were dealing quickly with our seniors who had lots of decisions that they were getting and receiving, and helping them kind of work their way through those. The great majority of those by May 1st were kind of kids made some decisions by then, but we were spending a good chunk of time with them. Pretty much, we probably had as much face-to-face one-on-one time as we would if they were in the office, and for some of them, maybe even more. Again, and there are still some that have a June 1st deadline, but the great majority of seniors have made some decisions. There's some waitlist work. We're still working with them. For our 11th graders, we really dug in with them and really finding ways to communicate with them, their families. We have quite a bit of material that we've sort of pushed out to the 11th grade families and students. And, that can be found on the Hive, that can be found in Naviance. And we're really working for ways to really make that an easy get for them. But again, it's one of the things that we're working hard right now to help them get through this process. Deb Colombo, who's our head of testing, has been great about updating all of our students around test closings or the latest in terms of like how the testing is going to go forward. She's been support this week. The APs have started this week. She's been available, and kids have called in who've needed support to get online or have had problems. So we're really still being, I think, very aggressive there to help kids that way. And going forward, like we have on the 14th of May, we have a PSPA program that we're doing with them as well for seniors, and sort of having them talk about their process. So we're very active and very much working one-on-one with kids, and we've really enjoyed that so far. But we have more work to do still.
Thank you, Sean. And you and Cassie Fritz really do such a great job of organizing your team for outreach and accessibility, and we're so grateful to have such talent in the College Counseling Office. So thank you. Jenny, Thanks. Let's talk to you for a moment. Jenny, how
I'm so excited for
I know it's great to have you.
Yeah. Gorilla and Overnight Live to get a hold of our beacons of light.
You're so nice.
See what they're going to do with this one. Yeah,
it's good. So I'm really kind of been watching how you and your teams help to guide students during this uncertain time. And so what acts of non-sibi by both students and adults stand out in your mind that you've encountered over the past couple months?
Yeah, so obviously, the projects that you mentioned today and then have been highlighted in all school meeting in terms of students who have identified needs in their community and in their wider community and have devoted their energies and efforts and resources to tackling them, from mass creation to food distribution, to redistribution of PPEs to our frontline healthcare heroes and heroines. Those stand out. But I also really am inspired by the everyday, ordinary ways that our proctors and prefects, day student mentors, EBI seniors, co-presidents have been reaching out to their peers, creating Zoom dorm meetings, or just checking in and engaging in the opportunities for conversation on campus, the really creative efforts to send out just a constant stream of positive and encouraging messages. And then, I think Megan and Sal, our newly elected co-presidents, are working with Mr. Barker and Ms. Dolan on a new initiative that I'm really hoping is going to work. Our senior, Chloe Webster's older sister, Sophie, is part of this fantastic team at Harvard that's created this unbelievable platform for honoring community members, in particular their seniors, and we're hoping to adapt it to our context, which is really exciting. And then in terms of everyday, ordinary ways that are so important, of our kids stepping up at home, taking care of their younger siblings, taking care of their beloved grandparents, doing more family chores and cooking, partnering with their parents. Some of our kids are working and earning wages and thinking of ways to be economically cautious. Our kids are really stepping up. And I think in so many ways, we're finding that this stretch of time is affording us opportunities to lean into our non-sibi values and really show up.
Thank you, Jenny. I know you have also been working hard with Linda and organizing all school meetings, and they've been fantastic. And I really appreciate that effort and all that you're doing. Can I stick with you for a moment
Sure.
to talk a little bit about the pandemic and the ways it's challenged every one of us in ways that we've never would have imagined, actually. And I know seniors in particular have been on your mind, they've been on my mind, and they're feeling the sense of loss. I know we have some special ways to celebrate them and their accomplishments despite not being together. Can you describe a little bit about what we have planned?
Yes, I can. I just want to honor and acknowledge that what our seniors have communicated to us that they want most in the most basic way is to be on campus and be with each other and just be. And I want to acknowledge that that's the one thing that we are unable to give them right now. And that stinks. And I'm really sorry. I've a New Yorker article about history finding us has been a helpful sense of perspective in terms of what these students have faced and are facing in historic proportion in terms of they will always be the class of 2020 who graduated during this time, and I think that matters. And I hope that they are taking time to journal and to document and to photograph and to paint and to write so that they can hold on to this really extraordinary stretch of time. So we obviously can't honor that most basic need, but what we can do, one, we've communicated we cannot wait to celebrate the whole class on campus and in person when we're able, likely next June, but that's something that we can't wait for. And in the meantime, we have leaned into the creativity and resilience of our senior leaders who have stepped up with courage and fortitude to start planning some fun things. First off, to start off, our senior class reps, led valiantly by Ash Cohen, are trying to rally the class. And consider this like one more way that we're trying to get you to submit to the senior reflection book. Ash Cohen has been using every means possible to try to message you that this is important, and it is important. So definitely submit. And then our senior leaders, including our class reps and co-presidents, have worked with just a fierce cohort of faculty members. Mr. Capano, Ms. Candelario has worked her tail off as the faculty advisor to the seniors. Ms. Yole, Ms. Ware, Ms. Davino, Ms. Hollis, Ms. Sweet, the deans, they are thinking about this and they've been planning for this senior week. So I have inside intel that it's going to start off with Saturday night and overnight live. These creative folks are going to pull it together and I can't wait. Mr. Ventre, I think you and I should be prepared for a little roasting.
I am ready.
You're ready.
Yeah.
But that's Saturday night. And then Monday we will do our senior sunrise. So get up and be ready. And that will be really fun. And we'll see maybe even a global senior sunrise as kids share what they're seeing from home. Tuesday, we are pulling together an awesome alumni panel of recent alumni leaders who've served at PA during our seniors' time. And it's been great fun to hear back from them. They are super excited to message and come together and talk with our seniors. Wednesday, we're going to do an athletics tribute. Thursday is going to be a day with the arts and to honor the amazing visual and performing artistic contributions of our seniors. On Friday, we're going to do a community celebration so that the adults on campus have an opportunity to celebrate our seniors. On Saturday, they called for it and we answered. They're going to have a senior story time. The seniors are going to have time with each other. Share stories. That's what they want. And then on Sunday at 10 a.m., June 7th, on the scheduled commencement day, we will have a really special tribute to our seniors. Obviously, will not be a replacement of our circle. We're going to have to do that another time, but we will embrace this new celebration and really, we will love to celebrate this really, really special class of 2020.
Thank you, Jenny. And I've been so impressed also with so many seniors who have reached out and with their display of resilience and also the strong coping skills they have developed during this challenging time, which I know will serve them throughout their lives. And so very, very excited about Senior Week coming up. Clyfe, can I turn back to you for a moment? Right now there's no school, especially those with a residential campus, that are predicting what the fall will look like. No one has made any decisions yet, but we're planning on a number of scenarios. What are some of the teaching and learning structures the academic deans are considering at this time?
How much time do I have, Jim? Oh my. Well, first thing is we got to plan for multiple scenarios. That is, being in the classroom, that's something that we do well. That's something that we can go back to right off the bat. So we're trying to make sure that that's always an option that we keep on the table, but that we can do at a moment's notice. Remote learning, that's something that we're experiencing now when we're learning a lot from this particular term. One thing to consider is how many courses can our students actually take in remote learning and go into the depth that we normally expect on campus. Is 5 the right number? Likely not. And the other factor that we have to consider is how many courses can a teacher prepare for and teach in remote learning at the depth that we are accustomed to, the depth that we want to deliver. So it's really those two basic questions that I think that we have to struggle with in terms of finding a scenario where we address those two. But there are so many scenarios to even consider, but I think those are the basic questions that we have to address.
And I know we are waiting on some recommendations from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts about what the projections look like for reopening and getting back to business. And so I know those will be part of our planning as well. Thank you, Clyfe. I know there's a lot of work still ahead of us, but may I turn back to Sean for a moment? Sean, the landscape in higher education is shifting. It seems every day there's something else coming out about, this watershed moment. You mentioned earlier a little bit about testing and how students are going to receive, we know, pass-fail grades this term. How do you think colleges are going to react to SAT, ACT tests, cancellations, and virtual learning and our pass-fail grades?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. It's going to be, again, for higher ed in general. I did a panel with Cassie Fritz for the PSPA back in February, and we actually brought up 5 really big issues that were going on in higher ed before COVID started. And if you want to hear about those, I would have you go back and watch that panel. It's listed in Media Space. But higher ed was already facing some really big new challenges in front of it. So COVID is just another one now that has sort of put them in a very different place. And I will say this, we've been saying this to our 11th graders as much as we can. There are things that we can control right now in the college counseling process, and that will be consistent, that we're going to really focus on. And there are things right now that we just can't control. And some of those are things you mentioned, like testing, like, what happens with no extracurriculars this spring when I was hoping to have the lead in the play, or I was hoping to have my sports season, or I was hoping to, have my recital or so forth, to all the things with grades, pass, fail. Some students across the U.S. don't have class at all right now. So colleges are going to have to adjust, readjust, and they are going to consistently be thinking about this. I did a panel the other day with 5 or 6 college deans. They all are really just shifting gears from trying to recruit and retain the seniors, right, that May 1st deadline, to just now thinking about how are we going to do this. Most schools, I'll say the majority of schools have gone to test optional now, but they haven't really thought about their process of doing admission and how that's going to play in. So it's, again, like everything else in COVID-19, it's sort of an it depends sort of situation. But I think we are going to be kind of staying on top of that and having our kids really focus on, there are many things that you can control. So we're going to do those things right now. And as we get a better sense of where colleges are, just like Clyfe was speaking about, we're in the process of trying to figure out what our fall will look like. There are some schools that have come out and said, I just got one today from UNH saying, University of New Hampshire, saying we're going to be in person in the fall. And just before that one, I got one from the Cal State system saying we're going to be virtual in the fall, right? So there's still all this uncertainty out there. So what we're really hoping to do with families is sort of focus on what we can control, continually update them as we go. But just know, right, that colleges are going to be flexible. They're going to be thoughtful. We're going to continue to message to them as strongly as we can. And I think, again, we'll all get through this, but it's going to be a bit of a different look this fall, and we'll know more in the coming weeks.
Thank you, Sean. Your guidance is always so helpful to our students and to all of us in the way that you present the facts that are always coming across your desk for updates from the college environment and how to navigate those choppy waters, especially during this time. So thank you for your persistence. Linda, LCG, I got to get you involved here and ask you, with your lens on equity, inclusion, and wellness, you have a view of many different perspectives and seeing moments of both challenge and hope. At this time, what do you hope for our students?
Thank you so much for the question. I hope for so much for our students, and we only have a little bit of time in the cubby. So I will say this. I hope for continued connection and continued community and self-care right now for our students, particularly as I look at, we have 2 more weeks or so left of classes, and then whatever our final assessment periods may look like this spring. And I've been very focused on helping students remain motivated as we continue through the end of the term. I've been reminding people that mid-May is mid-May, whether you're virtual or you're on campus. We're all experiencing the fatigue of a long year, and we have to remember to take care of ourselves, reach out and communicate, reach out for help and support if needed, and remember to do everything that the Sykes Wellness team has been telling you. Sleep, eat well, healthily, get out and move, exercise, practice whatever it is that you need to stay calm and relaxed. And if you need help remaining focused, because some of us, and maybe some of us even in the cubby with you right now, Mr. Ventre,
yes,
reach out and make those connections through Zoom. I love Zoom. Zoom makes me feel connected to all of the students, whether they are here or not. So that's what I hope for all of them, and ultimately some joy, and then an incredible summer of rejuvenation.
Wonderful.
And I also look forward to our June celebration of our seniors, 2020.
We're all looking forward to that. Thank you, Len. It's really also, I have to recognize you for all your diligence and work with so many families and so many faculty and staff members on campus, and the way you've helped to galvanize and bring people together is extraordinary. So thank you for your service. And thank you all actually for your generous conversation today, and for the countless hours I know personally that you devote to Andover, not only during this pandemic crisis, but always on campus. Students, faculty, staff, and families know they can count on you You are the beacons of light and leadership at Andover. And I'd just like to remember to everybody, find your personal way to fall in love with Andover. And remember, while you may feel isolated, you're never alone. Thank you for tuning in. This is Jim Ventre from the class of 79, interim head of school 15.5, signing off from the Cubby. Let's go Big Blue. Thank you.